If people are thinking that BYJU'S is going down, no chance. No chance. Companies fail not because of external reasons. Companies fail because of internal reasons.
We are pioneers in edtech, not pioneers in perfection.
Love is private, hate is public. I am not just the largest shareholder, I am the largest investor in the company.
We understand that education, after all, it's a right. It's not a privilege, and we're growing towards that mission.
You don't need 10 million to start a company. You need 3 people and an idea to start.
Right, and people say valuation. Valuation can come and go, but values and value creation is forever.
Even when you are sleeping, you will be able to tell that if you do good, we'll end up doing well. If you do well, we'll end up doing good.
Because we've probably come a long way, but we have a longer way to go.
You can force students to attend the class, but you can't force them to pay attention to what you teach. I've been doing it for 18 years. Aspiration is to do it for at least 30 more years.
First, let's address the layoffs, because there have been some messages on social media which have been, people have been disappointed that they have been laid off, and it's 5% of the workforce. And Divya, you wrote something very heartfelt about why you guys did it, but please address what was the necessity for this large number of layoffs that happened.
No, thank you, Shradha. It's empathetic of you to say that you found, the letter heartening. But I should tell you that I saw the pain and the purpose of writing that letter. And both of us, this was almost the most difficult thing to do. But sometimes what BYJU and Divya want is not what BYJU'S as a company demands, right? And this was done keeping a lot of things in mind. And why the layoff right now? We all know the macro conditions. And secondly, the number of acquisitions which we have done in the K-10 space. So many over the last couple of years, that we had to do this exercise of consolidating all the business units and removing all the redundancies in role. But it is unfortunate, and I know no amount of sorry will take that away. It's painful for us, as it is for everyone. But I also want to add that in 1 year, we've added 25,000 jobs, right? And we also plan to hire in functions, especially teachers. We plan to add 10,000 teachers. And over the last 2 years, because of the pandemic, what has happened is, especially for women, and I speak for women, half of us are graduates, only 23% are in the workforce. It has opened so many opportunities for women teachers to teach from home to anywhere in the world. So we have hired 20,000 women teaching from home to the rest of the world over the last 2 years. And it's been an immense opportunity for them. So yes, while we went from 25,000 to 50,000 in 1 year, we did have to rationalize 5%, but we also continue to hire in functions, especially like teaching.
Just to add a sentence to it, I'm not sure how many of you know, we are among the top 30 private employers in India and the only startup in that list. And we have, and again, this is by no means justifying the 2,500, close to 2,500 people whom we had to let go, or whom we'll let go in these 2-3 months. Last month, we have added 1,500 new people in functions where we are scaling up. But unfortunate, though, like a lot of people in social media talk about the beauty in the letter, but there's a lot of pain behind that.
Tell us what went wrong. There were questions on the accounting practices, how the loan books were addressed. Can you take us through that? Because there was this, I had only interviewed BYJU that in 2020 and 21, the financials were amazing. They were such big numbers. EdTech was doing big. You were leading it from the front. And suddenly then we hear about this, and it's like such a shocking thing that happened in the last 12 months. Tell us.
Fundamentally, there is no difference in terms of we grew by almost 70% in the year, not visible in the financials because of 2 reasons, which I want to explain that to an audience, an intelligent audience. The the recognition change happened in where almost 2,000 crores of revenue got pushed out, and every cost associated with it got expensed out. So when revenue comes down by 2,000 crore and expenses is moving up by 2,000, almost 2,000, for that part of the business we were break even. Even if you take a look at 20, you will see that we were break even for that business, the India core business. So, so 21 will look very bad. Please wait for 22 to come out. And there you will see that revenue will grow almost 3.5x, and expenses, like losses, will get more than halved. And you will see that growth. We just finished our best 6 months. Recognition change, a one-time recognition change which happened, was for like few decisions which we took more from a compassionate point of view rather than taking a ruthless business stance. To go one level deeper rather than giving a superficial answer, one big change which we did during the start of the COVID, when all the NBFC partners and banking partners stopped financing our potential users, because that's how we have expanded access for our users by giving them an option to pay over 12 months. Because India, the segment where we make the biggest impact, they don't have a credit card. Like unlike, because we are still talking about single-digit credit card percentage penetration. So financing, which unlike the media narrative of financing is a very powerful tool for all the three stakeholders involved. It helps us to expand access, it helps the partners to have a very good loan book, and it helps customers, those who can't pay upfront because they don't have a credit card or they can't pay 15,000, 30,000 upfront, they are able to pay over 12 months. So that, irrespective of the media narrative, that's actually a big differentiator in our business model. We don't sell it only to the users, those who have got a credit card. They are also buying it, but for the much larger percentage, those who won't have an audience, like that, there we are making a bigger impact. So when NBFC partners and banks stopped financing our customers, where their approval rates went down from mid-50s to low teens, we started funding from our balance sheet because we were always well capitalized. And now that's a very compassionate stance, because in a COVID year, having more and more users getting access to our product was more important. So the business grew almost 70%. It's not visible because it looked flat in the financials. But when you see the next year numbers, all of that is actually, and the second part is, though the RBI moratorium was only for 3 months, we extended the moratorium by 6 months to make sure that they are able to pay. Now, what that means is the collections got FY21, this particular part of the sales, collections got completed in 22. So that all the revenue, 97% of that revenue is actually coming in FY22 of what got pushed out. But unfortunately, it got expensed out. The entire expense for these close to 2,000 crores of revenue. One was because of this securitization, which is where we did the sale from our books. Second was because when a lot of schools were struggling to offer online classes, during that first year of COVID, we were running live classes every day. We were broadcasting live classes for all users. Even both of us used to teach during those days. That, though it was offered free, it took, auditors took that as streaming, and that revenue also got recognized over the period of consumption, though we were running that only for those 2 years. So these two compassionate stands, which were backed by all our investors, when auditors took a, and again, I'm not blaming anybody here. It's like, because we have not lost any of that revenue. It's coming, and in 22 and part of that in 23. Wait for the 22 numbers to come out. You will see that revenue will grow by more than 3x. Expenses will be half. That's why if you see that in the last 6 months, I have invested 400 million back in the business. And you will realize why I did that.
Sales practice बहुत aggressive है. पता नहीं हिंदी में समझ में आएगा या नहीं, but it is very, very aggressive. EMIs, middle class, lower middle income को देना होता है. There are a lot of hidden costs, and call center support is not there. So you're like pushing your courses on people. And that, if you see, is the main central theme of unrest and all the social conversations that I've seen in the last couple of years. I want you to address this.
So, you know, as teachers, we are accused of having our favorite students. Students also have some favorite teachers, you know, and it's not that other teachers are good or bad. So what I'm trying to say is, see, when we get criticism, we take it as critique, and we like to improve on that, right? So we take it in our stride. Feedback is well noted, because see, we, like you said, we are lucky to be pioneers in EdTech. We are lucky to have been given an opportunity to write the rules on its own. So when we grew this fast, this big. Mistakes were made along the way. Now, it's important that, now I'll go back to the teaching thing. As teachers, we also learn every day. So the important thing is that we learn and we grow and we become better. Now, that being said, we've grown as a company, we've also grown in our processes. And since you went deep on 2 points, one is, if you look at the sales practices, we have put in so many processes today that mis-selling is almost impossible. There is a 3-level audit which happens, and EMI sales are not even confirmed by us, it's confirmed by the banking partner. And in terms of customer support and service, 98% of our queries are resolved in 48 hours, right? So there is absolutely, I won't say it's zero, nothing can be zero, right? So we are pioneers in EdTech, not pioneers in perfection. And that's something that we want to grow and even become better with the help of the feedback that we get. So, and we've also created schemes where sales guys, if they feel that a particular family cannot afford the course, they can enroll them under Education for All, which is a not-for-profit initiative. So this way the student never misses out on a course. So it's not, for us, we understand that education, after all, it's a right. It's not a privilege, and we're growing towards that mission.
In the last 5 years, when we grew from 100 sales guys to 10,000 plus sales guys, everything which you read about is only about this 10,000 sales guys. What nobody talks about is we have an additional 40,000 employees, 20,000 plus teachers or subject matter experts. And on this function, sales, it'll always be a little more aggressive than most of the other functions. Now, what we have not done for optics, right? If you see all the large sales teams in the industry, B2C sales team or B2B sales team, large companies, I'm not naming any one of them, they don't keep sales on their rolls just to put the blame on someone else, right? Now, we have retained all these sales employees as BYJU'S employees. It comes with its plus points and minus points. Minus points is that a lot of them, when they start with us in sales, first 3 months, they are also figuring out whether they can do sales. And those who can actually do that, they end up creating, they end up progressing very well in their career. Now, there are a lot of them, those who unfortunately cannot do this, and they figure that out in the first 3 to 6 months during the training process. Now, we have improved on processes, and we are paranoid about that because there is no incentive for us not to correct it. Nobody can question our intention because we are not building something which to take an exit and make a lot of money in the next 2-3 years. What you will see is that I've been doing it for 18 years. Aspiration is to do it for at least 30 more years. No scope for short-term optics here. And that's why I tell that I have a lot more skin in the game than any other investor. I am not just the largest shareholder, I am the largest investor in the company. I have not put a single dollar, single rupee outside anywhere else. It's all in. We were always all in. We have gone even deeper today in the last 6 months. And why that's important is it's not about who's having control. I'm not a control freak because unfortunately people think that BYJU'S is all about BYJU. I want to clearly mention that I don't do much. I don't do anything, in fact. I've created an ecosystem where intrapreneurs or entrepreneurs can thrive. Because we have not, apart from the 6 founding partners who've been there for the last 11 years, and that's unheard of in Bangalore, where founders themselves lose the founder mentality. There is no question of complacency setting in. There is no question of we thinking it's successful. We very well know that these are very early days for online learning. Even at our scale, we are talking about low single-digit penetration in our core segment itself. There's a lot to be done. We have also added at least 4 or 5 exceptional entrepreneurs as our partners in the last 4 years. Talk to anyone who would have been our direct competitors. If you are friends with Sisha and Mohan, anyone you talk to them, they will tell you why they joined us. So what I'm trying to tell is there is no scope for short-term optics. There is no intention of, we would have, just like anyone else, when you grow this fast, we also would have made our fair share of mistakes. We are not, we acknowledge that. And and we are sorry about it. And unless and until you are sorry, if you don't accept your mistakes, there is no way you can improve. But I normally say that if you want to do this for next 20, 30 more years, there is no other way other than correcting every mistake. And you can't do it without making mistakes because there is no playbook for success here. Education is a very difficult sector to be in. But if you have the willingness to fight it out for years and decades, you will end up creating one of the most high impact initiatives in the world, right? Because this is one of those sectors where even when you are sleeping, you will be able to tell that if you do good, we'll end up doing well. If you do well, we'll end up doing good. There is no way And I can tell you that 10 years down the line, 20 years down the line, give us 20 more years. Where, like one thing which you will see, and I can give that in writing, is that we will end up having more students, those who will learn free from us, rather than whom we are monetizing. Nobody talks about, we have 6 million plus students, 6.5 million students on our paid platform. There are 5.5 million students on our Education for All platform. Nobody talks about it, unfortunately. And it's not that we are not doing it because we want people to talk about it, but we want you to know that we have a bigger responsibility towards those kids for whom this is their primary mode of learning. And like a month back, we have signed up 30 lakh students in a single state, and over the next 12 to 18 months, 30 lakh government schools. I come from a government school, so I'm not doing this to make money. Nothing has changed for me in the last 10 years. Nothing has changed in the last 10 years.
Sumeru's investment, there were big articles and stories
It's a
on
joke.
that. No,
It's a
why is
joke.
it a joke?
Because it's like when people don't give us money, then also we are on the receiving end. So it's now, it's unfortunately there will be just like, because so many deals in the last 12 months have been called off. Number of deals which have been called off by PEs because they have not been, two reasons. Sometimes they're not able to raise money from their LPs, and sometimes because the money is a lot more expensive where, let's say, an acquisition or a deal won't make sense for the investor. So it's, again, you can't blame those investors for it, right? Because like you're talking about, it's not just Sumeru. In fact, there is Oxshot, not just in Sumeru. Oxshot also didn't invest. Now, so Sumeru, Oxshot didn't invest, but Sumeru, like, have not invested in, there are 4 other unicorns where did the same thing. They were not able to invest. Like, but what's our mistake in that? I never got the story around Sumeru not investing in BYJU'S. We are on the receiving end over there. But again, we have nothing against any one of them. It's all part of the game. Like,
So tell us, you invested $400 million, your own personal capital right now in the company.
yeah, most of it is given by existing investors, those who trust me and where they know that I'm going to put all of that back in the company. Now, if it's just for optics, because even the other side of the story is nobody is giving money to BYJU'S, so he's putting his own money. I don't have 400 million. This is also given by my existing investors. I have not done secondary to create wealth, because my idea is to, if you give me 100 rupees, I'm going to put that back in BYJU'S. So it's not my money, it's given by investors. But if you ask me where will I put that money, they are giving me money because they know that I'm going to put that, I'm not going to use that to buy a private jet. They know that I'm going to put that money back in BYJU'S. So it's all that money is given by mostly existing investors and some new investors. Now, if it's for optics, because I've also heard that BYJU'S doing this to show that if it's for optics, I can do 40 million. Why 400 million? 40 is also a big number for an investor. These are times where you take money out after 11 years of starting the company. But what I am telling is I am not doing this to like create a large IPO, large exit event. Like you will see us doing only this, because again, it's not because when you are privileged enough to make such a big impact, it's criminal to become complacent. So there is no scope for complacency here. And eventually it's all about, and again, one more thing, which means most of your entrepreneurs, like when you move from 0 to 1, 1 to 10, 10 to 100, it'll come with its own challenges. But at the end of the day, if you, like as I always tell, entrepreneurship is not a skill. It's a mindset. It's a mindset where you don't take no for an answer. Unless and until if you are, like I always tell that we are all living our dreams. So why will we slow down?
Yeah, startups may fail, but entrepreneurs never do.
When you get so much of capital, right? And Nitin Kamath was here yesterday and he was saying that then you start living quarter to quarter also, right? Like because you have to hit those numbers, hit those scales. Somewhere do you think that, because today you are the most valued tech company in the world. Do you see yourself changing in that scale journey, or the teacher? Like I can of course see the teacher very much in you, but how do you cope with the scale and the purpose, both? Can they go along together?
Very much, because that's exactly the point. When you are doing something and when you know that it's making an impact, this most valuable, and all these names, the fancy names, the decacorns and the billionaires and all of them are, you might think that that makes you more responsible, right? When you know that. Yesterday, I met a few of my team members who've been there for 10 years. In fact, I want to call out, I didn't start this company with my friends. I started the company with the 6 founding partners. All of them were my students. First 300 employees, all of them came from the student base and in our product team. And when we checked the number, 261 of them are still there. So what I'm trying to tell you is, that's a huge responsibility when you know that, because after so much noise in the media, when I was really taken aback when three of my, not founding partners, three of them whom I met them yesterday in office, they asked me a question which, like, we have not done anything else. We have only been in BYJU'S. Like, they call me sir because I've taught them, not because they are scared of me. So they asked me that, like, I bought houses and thinking that we are all, because we are in it for long term, but what is the worst case scenario? I was really, questions like this is why, like, there is no scope for complacency, right? It's like, at the end of the day, it's all about companies fail not because of external reasons. Companies fail because of internal reasons. Like, in most cases, when you move from 0 to 1, 1 to 10, 10 to 100, founder mentality starts dropping. And now, if you can make sure that founder mentality, you continuously improve. Now, it's not about founder mentality is not just in founders. Founder mentality is anyone who will take ownership. Anyone who will tell that I'll do this. If it works, it's because of me, and if it doesn't work, it's because of me. That, if you can increase that index in the company, nothing will stop you from achieving what you want to. Unless you are putting a timeline. If you decide, I have to do this in 2 years, I have to make this much money in 2 years, chances are that you won't be successful. But over 20 years, anything will work. Anything will work. There might be 6 months, 6 cycles like this. The most challenging macro environment in the last 10 years, people say 30 years. But we'll go through cycles like this for 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, but that's all a very small window in a 20, 30-year life journey.
And if I may add, you asked, right, what changes over 10 years? It's different then, it's different now. Frankly, for both BYJU and me, we're surrounded by the same set of people who were with us 10 years before, who are with us 10 years, hence, and will be with us in the future. Even if I speak about the family, we live in a big joint family with 11 cousins, their children. BYJU and Divya are BYJU and Divya. Nothing has changed. Or BYJU'S BYJU, right? It doesn't matter. I know that what makes him happy is going to a tatkada and having chai. Even today, nothing can beat that happiness of small things in life. And as long as you never change the people around you, you always stay grounded, you always stay humble. So that doesn't change no matter what happens. And it's not about growing bigger, it's about, so they say, with great power comes responsibility. It's actually the other way around. With more responsibility comes power.
And by no means it's easy. The bigger you create, the challenging it becomes. But that's exactly, it's exciting. And again, I'm not romanticizing the last 6 months. It's really been tough. But there is part of me, part of us who enjoys those challenges. That's why there is no, if people are thinking that BYJU'S is going down, no chance. No chance.
We have the responsibility of 50,000 families and 150
We just
million
finished,
students.
as I mentioned, we just finished our best 6 months where we grew 50% year on year. That's one part which we are very happy about. We are even more happy about the fact that in the last 6 months, we have added more students on our Education for All platform. And that I'm not taking complete credit for it. We work with 175 NGO partners. In fact, if you want to support 10 students, just figure out how to get 10 devices. Like 4 of you together will have 10 old devices. Give it to us. We'll give the same product which we monetize free to 10 students whom we want to. 1 million people doing that will reach to 10 million students. 1 million is less than 1% of our population.
So you asked me why Messi, right? Like the other day when we spoke. Yeah, it's for this, so that this will become a movement only if more and more people participate. Everybody is close to education. Everybody wants to give back for the purpose of education, as parents, as citizens of the country. But now we're giving an avenue where anybody can come forward and play a role in this. Half of the EFA beneficiaries are girls.
But when you combine together, since you didn't ask that question, when you combine together, we are not insensitive idiots, those who had to unfortunately let go of a large number, but a small percentage, but a large number of people, and go and sign up Messi immediately after that. It's a joke. Like people, like now first of all, you can't sign up Messi in 5 days. So that's something which we did 6 months back. Now there is a window where we wanted to make that announcement. Once the World Cup starts, he's not allowed to make any of the announcements. Now, it's not a typical sponsorship deal. It's an impact, it's a partnership to create social impact. So, like, I have seen people telling that, like, oh, we would have paid 160 crores, 200 crores. Like, I don't want to tell how much you are paying because that, like, then all sponsors will expect that from Messi. So I don't want to talk about that. It's a very strong partnership where we want to make an impact together. It's unlike the other deals. You can criticize us for signing up other brand. Like this is not a typical sponsorship deal. Something which we signed up 6 months back, and we wanted to announce that before the World Cup, because like yesterday's post reached out 20 million views, like what Messi posted, and we couldn't have done it after 1 week. So we are not insensitive to go and pay money to Messi and letting go of people on the other side. What you will in fact see is, in India, we have achieved the brand awareness which is required. You'll actually see a lot of initiatives like optimization on the people side, which is the most painful. That's only a small part of our path to profitability. The reason is, like, it's the same media who will criticize us for having losses. And here the idea is to, last 5 years, we focused on creating growth, which has put us in a position of strength and a clear leadership position as a pioneer in EdTech. And I also learned a punch word that we are pioneers in EdTech and not pioneers in perfection. When you are in a new segment, we'll make more mistakes than anyone else. There is no playbook. But it's foolish for people to think that we will go and sign up, we'll go and pay money to Messi after letting go of. That's the most painful thing. It's like there is a reason why I told you that out of the first 300 people who joined, 261 are still there, like 11 years on. There won't be, and like we employ more people than the next 4 startups put together.
Can you give us a view of the next 12 months? What can we expect from you?
So like we have been growing year on year. Because of the recognition change, 20 to 21 looks flat. But otherwise, there is consistent growth in core business, like where we are growing at 50% year on year. There is growth in in our largest integrations. I won't even call them acquisitions. Akash and Great Learn. Everyone talks about, we made 5 big integrations, out of which we are struggling in one, where we have not yet solved for go-to-market strategy in White Hat Junior. And that's what everyone talks about. So people think that our acquisitions are all failed. 4 out of 5 is you ask any investor, 4 out of 5, like Akash's success alone will justify even if we make 5 more mistakes while integrating. And I've heard people telling that acquisitions are designed to fail, not for us, because we have been very careful. Now, you might not believe if I tell that when we make so many integrations, but we have added a lot more exceptional entrepreneurs in the mix. And it's all about that. It's all about like having that, like those many people with founder mentality so that we can achieve, create a bigger impact. So Akash is like 3x in just 2 years. Pre-acquisition, they were at 1,000 crores. This year, we'll do 3,000 crores. Great Learning is growing at 100% year on year. And all 3 of our US acquisitions, they are growing at 30-40% year on year. And the one where we are struggling, because I'm not just talking about the good things, and we have not yet figured out how to like acquire users efficiently in US, where we have not yet found out the cricket and the Bollywood equivalent, which are 2 of the biggest religions in India. If the macro environment continued for another 18-24 months, we would have figured that out. Now we are taking a measured approach at how do we figure that out in White Hat Junior. So 4 out of the 5 acquisitions are doing very well. Core business, which is still 60% of our business, is growing at 50% year on year. And all but one will be profitable next quarter.
And if you look at all the acquisitions, what does it see? Ultimately, what does it mean for the student? Right? And people say valuation. Valuation can come and go, but values and value creation is forever. So with the help of the acquisitions, and I will call them partnerships, not even acquisitions, because the entrepreneurs who come on board, it's the power of compounding founder mentality. It's like having an extended leadership team who now believe in the same mission to take this forward for decades to come. Ultimately, what are we doing for the student? That's the question we need to answer. We are creating more value for them in terms of giving them the choice to take the driver's seat. Where they want to learn from, how much they want to learn, how fast they want to learn, right? Everything. Ultimately, the student should take the front seat. And what all of this is doing is giving them more depth to what they're learning, more breadth to what we're offering. So now it's about having students have more access to more products and more grades across geographies, across subjects. So right now, with the help of all these partnerships, we have products from early learning all the way. They say pre-K to grey in a very fancy way. But everybody can learn from anywhere, how much ever they want, and have that flexibility for themselves.
And just to add on to that is the most important point over there is in terms of every student who's learning on the platform. Because what you need to understand is our core business, which is a set of learning apps, is something unheard of. kids learning on their own. In India, in a market which is obsessed with spoon feeding, where everything happens through force. Even our classrooms, we go and sit because we need the attendance. That is, so you can force students to attend the class, but you can't force them to pay attention to what you teach, whether it's in a classroom or whether it's in your product. So any student, even though it's a small percentage today, someone who's learning on their own, you are creating lifelong learners. And if you ask, and that level of conviction is from within. I've been a self-learner throughout. The average English which I'm rattling out here is what I've learned by listening to cricket commentary on radio. I didn't go to an English medium school. Even the school which I went to, forget about good teachers, teachers never used to turn up. That forced me to become, that gave me an opportunity to teach. I started teaching in my school, in college, and then later that moved from a classroom to an auditorium to a stadium. And so that conviction is from within. It's not just something which, this is how I have learned everything. It's not about learning math and science. Like the 71 plus investors, for most of whom this was the first investment in India, first in education. It's all, like I didn't do any of the bankers to do that. I've learned along the way in terms of how to do capital raise, because it's important to have, when your dreams are this big, to realize them, you need a trifecta of skill, which you can learn, ambition, which is unlimited, and that's the advantage of growing up in a village, and access to capital. At this stage, you have all three, because as I told you, skill anyone can have. You can learn whatever you want, if you have the curiosity to learn. And that's what we are trying to create in the next generation. And the impact which we'll create for them, is not just in exams which they take in schools, but the moment you create that habit of self-learning, or if you can make sure that they learn how to learn, you will end up creating a lifelong impact in all those students, those who are on our platform. And that's the most important. When people ask me, what is the impact? Impact is not just in marks and grades. Now, that's a short term. You can judge that by short term in terms of how many users continue on the platform. But the real impact is, and this conviction is from within. I don't teach my 8-year-old son. He doesn't learn from BYJU, the teacher. He only learns from BYJU'S.
What does it do to entrepreneurs and to everyone who might tomorrow face this kind of heat that you are seeing? And BYJU, you get so much of attention, right? Like
it's an opportunity. It's like there's so many people watching you. You can use like today, if I want to, I'm about to stop all branding and marketing. The amount of attention we have, as much as we don't like it, that's a big opportunity. Anything we do, like I need to, if I just send a letter, like 100 publications are carrying it. It's like the mainstream publications are carrying that letter to Messi is our next campaign, which was all unheard of. So there is so much attention. We are going to try changing that from challenge to an opportunity.
How are you both holding up? Don't tell me that it doesn't affect. It must be affecting, because every day one is waking up to some, this kind of dislike, this kind of hate, these kind of stories.
No, Shradha, that is a very single-digit, isolated percentage, I should tell you, because negativity just gets blown out of proportion in terms of perception. The maximum is love, right? Now, the students who are part of our learning programs, they are not on social media, right? But they are the ones where we see the happiness. We get the feedback in forms of letters and calls. So what holds us strong? And first of all, by the way, we are, like you can see both of us smiling. I don't think anything affects us. See, it's also very important to understand that there is a lot of information. You can hear everything, but it's important to choose what you listen to, right? And especially in a world of today, which is very digital first and online, people can tell you a lot of things, but it's those who want the best for you, on whom you will lean on, whom you will depend on, who will grow with. Right? They will always criticize, and you take that, like I said, you take it as critique, you grow from it. So like he said, nothing is as good as what you see in the news sometimes, as bad as what you read on social. Life is somewhere in the middle, in between, and it goes as normal.
Love is private, hate is public. The number of messages, WhatsApp messages which I get from students, that's the single most reason why we do what we do. Students are not on social media. They're not on social media, right? Our users are students. There's a reason why our core product, NPS, has moved up from 65 to 70. You have to either believe, see, most of the people who write about us, I am sure they have not spent even an hour on our platform. But if you, like, otherwise, yesterday I was meeting someone, so they were just telling 95% of the users are unhappy. But that is because there is a selection bias. This is 95% of the 100 posts which they picked from social media. I was telling it should not be 95%, it should be 100%. That's why they are going and writing in social media. So these are very simple, like, see, anecdotal things, like because the single digit detractors which we have, and that's why we have an NPS of 70, which has moved up from 65 to 70 in the last 6 months. This is why you have to believe that the 71 plus global investors are idiots. Because they go deep. What is that they check? They check all of what I mentioned. Aggressive sales, like fake loans. They also check competition risk. Everything they get a favorable answer when they go and check. The only thing where they don't get an answer is that, oh, there is key man risk. I tell them that there is no key man risk. There is a key team risk, because it's a set of large number of founders, those who are mission driven. So
do you think, BYJU'S, just quickly, I don't know, do you think that sometimes it doesn't work in your favor that the name of the company is your name? BYJU'S and BYJU'S?
It works. It works. Because when I say it works, it's like, it's both ways, right? People, that's why I'm saying I get undue credit for what all of them do. But now I've realized I also get undue flack, so it kind of balances out. And I've heard a lot of people asking me, why did you put your name in your startup? Because 90% of the startups are designed to fail. That's how it is, right? But the 10% or 5% will work. I didn't think that much. This was a different perspective I heard recently. So because I didn't start this as a business, it ended up becoming one. The name was given by students because I used to teach. They called it BYJU'S classes. It had a good name in a very small pocket in certain cities. So when we launched an app, we just called it BYJU'S Learning App. Now when we went back and launched hybrid classes and online classes, we went back to our roots and called it BYJU'S classes.
It was easiest to get trademark for it also, because the
And
name
most of the
itself was
people
so
outside Kerala, they don't know whether BYJU is a name. They think it's some 4-letter
unique. Yeah,
acronym.
they say BYJU classes.
If you had to tell all the startups who are building in this category, but there is no black and white, but what would you say? Where are we right now? Is it physical? Is it?
Easy question.
Huh.
Every country needs a BYJU'S. BYJU'S is today only in India, dominant presence. Every country, every segment needs a BYJU'S. When I say every country needs a BYJU'S, everything needs a platform which flips the table and puts it back on students to take the initiative. We need, we are talking about a century where illiteracy is not about not knowing how to read and write. It's about learning how to learn, relearn, learn, unlearn, and relearn. So there is an opportunity in every country, every segment. In our core segment itself, we have 3% penetration, 6 million out of 2% actually, 6 million out of 300 million students is only 2% penetration. Only thing is, don't expect a success which you can achieve in 2-3 years. Now, like you might think it's funding winter, so is it the right time to start? We took first 10 years we were bootstrapped. All the successful companies within BYJU'S also, if you see, the difference is that there was a strong foundation, product market fit. You might think that, oh, this is a sales and marketing thing. But every year in the last 5 years, we have invested 200 million per year in our product development team. When you have time, walk into our office and see our secret weapon. We have invested in last 6 years, $1.3 billion in creating our product. There is not a single edtech company globally till now who have even invested 200 million globally. So that's the opportunity. That's the opportunity which you have. But do it if you have enter the segment if you have a 10-year vision. This is not a segment where you can show outcomes in 4 years, make money and get out. Today there are 75,000 startups. You might think this is the worst time to start something new. That's not the case. It's the best time to start because there is no pressure. Nobody is expecting you to grow. Make sure that you build something if you are passionate about it, so that why that's important is if you are passionate about it, all this noise, all these challenges will just be you will never take no for an answer when you are faced with a challenge. Because if you are passionate about, and that's why I'm saying we are living our dream. So there is no scope of slowing down. This is the best time to start because most of the great companies are started during downturns like this. You don't need 10 million to start a company. You need 3 people and an idea to start. So, and we need not 75,000 startups. We need 1 million startups. And think of and million startups if there are 1 million startups creating 100 jobs, just 100 jobs. You're talking about 100 million jobs, 100 million. That's how we can make India a superpower. And this is our time. Next 20, 30 years people were always bullish about Indians. Now people are bullish about India. And you don't think that this is, especially our sector, education starting in India is a huge advantage. It's not just the cost arbitrage which people talk about. It's the quality arbitrage. And today, you can be in a small town, 3 of you can come together and start changing the way the world will learn. You need to have, like, you need to think, you need to keep an aspiration level somewhere here. And when you're about to raise the bar again. And it's never about, it's never about winning or losing, right? I always use games as an analogy. In business and politics, it's all about being in the game, being in that infinite game. So, time to start.